Ilyas Wali has asked, can excessive use of social media be counterproductive for brands? If yes, how would one be aware of the fine line between what is productive and what is not productive?
I think one of the things that brands quite often do is that one of the first mistakes they make is that they post what I would call as corporate content. Mm-hmm. So they post things about themselves. And we have to understand that we're not interested in your company or your product. And we have to be honest about that. And so if some salesperson comes to me and says, waves their product, we're really not interested. I understand that you're passionate about it, it pays your mortgage, but I've got better things to do in my life than to take your pitch. Mm. And so the mistake that marketers do is that they see social as another channel to push out all of that content that isn't working in all the other channels that they keep pushing it out, because actually we don't give a shit about it. Mm. And so what I've seen in the past, for example, where they have things like social bombs, where they say, right, we're going to share one piece of content all at the same time, and they get 200 pieces of people to share it. Interesting idea, but it turns probably really great content into social spam. And so what you're doing is that there's a time and a place. You need to be active and you need to be present. Salespeople, the brand, all need to be present. But there is a point where that presence turns into spam. There's a famous quote from the film Spinal Tap, which is there's a thin line between being clever and stupid. And I think that's a very well used quote for social.
Yeah, I think the thing about social media is the people who love it and the people who love the stuff on social love it because it's authentic, because
yes.
It's natural, because it's human.
Yes.
And when you use that as a tool to spam, it's totally inauthentic, totally irritating, but inhuman.
Yeah, measurement is one of the ways to validate the ideas that you have. So if you post something once a day, if you take Twitter for example, which is quite a fast-paced social network, if you post something once a day, that isn't enough. And it isn't enough because the chances of you seeing my content, which is gone in a moment, right. The chance of you seeing my content is very limited. Posting once an hour, okay, that may work. Posting twice an hour, that may work. Posting 3 times a minute, that probably won't work. So when you measure the results and the interactions and the views that you get on something, you'll see that they'll increase as the frequency increases, and then they'll start to drop off. And at that point, you know that you've gone too far and you need to pull back from that.
So you need to understand the platform that you're posting on and understand how your content is displayed and tailor your frequency of your posts accordingly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where things like social listening technology can then support on that. Because then you can deploy the technology to listen to what's happening online,
right. And
you'll know the fine line because there's elements in it that will be dictated by the engagement. If no one's engaging with your content, then you know it's
the wrong people are engaging.
Or the wrong people are engaging with your content, and then you've got the technology and the data to then support those decisions.
Right. So time of day also matters. Type of platform matters.
Yep.
I would don't get too caught up in the latest HubSpot or Hootsuite article about what time of day you should post. Because if we all read that and it's 2 o'clock on Tuesday and we all post at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, it's the worst time to post. Actually, when do I post? When I want to. And it's if you've got a strong network, if you've got a strong community, which is a different subject in itself, the people will notice that and they will engage with it. And if it's good content, people will engage with it.
So I think actually this segues very well to the next question, which is what is the what are some of the tried and tested best social media strategies in today's VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world, right? And how do you effectively implement it? So I think we've actually kind of answered that question while doing this. One of the things, this question is actually asked by Anand Unikrishnan. One of the things that struck me as you were talking about the HubSpot articles and all of that is what sticks in my mind a lot of times, and please tell me if this is true, is a lot of these articles are written by people in the US, right?
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that, except that 2 p.m. on a Tuesday in the US is not 2 p.m. on a Tuesday in Hong Kong or in India.
Yes.
Right. So you do have to understand your audience. You do have to understand, to your point, you do have to listen and deploy the tools to understand who's actually engaging with your content. At what time do you get the best engagement?
The key word though is authentic. So, you know, when you watch Tim shoot a video when he's in California, or me shoot a video at my whiteboard, or Alex shoot an Ask Alex, it's clearly Alex's personality, my personality, Tim's personality. And that's the key thing. That's the only USP that any one of us has, is who we are. And leading with that and being yourself makes you more attractive, more charming, more engaging, more all of those things that matter in terms of getting people to absorb and resonate with your message. So it's really important that no matter who you are, you recognize that that is the most attractive thing that you have to offer. And telling your story about whatever it is. You know, if Tim tells a social selling story, or I tell one, or Alex tells one, actually it's the same story. It's delivered in a different way with a different personality, and that's the USP.